everybody, it's Caitlin McKeague with Berkshire Hathaway, and I am excited for this video because we have a special celebrity guest. A true transplant from another state is here with me today, and we're talking about the pros and cons of living in Phoenix, starting right now. All right, so Andy, you're here on my first fireside chat. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Andy McKeague. I'm from the Chicagoland area. I moved out here in 2008. So I've been out here just over 10 or 11 years now, and really enjoy this a lot more than Chicago.
If you didn't catch the last name, he's actually my husband. Spoiler alert. So it's hard for me to talk about the pros and cons of living in Phoenix because I've lived here for so long. So I figured I should interview a real transplant from another area to give us the true insight on what it's like living in Phoenix from another state. We're also going to do a quick surprise true or false fire round, so stay tuned towards the end for that. So Andy, let's start with some pros.
Okay, so I'll start with my favorite pro. That's all the golf that you can play here in Phoenix. We haven't put the clubs away in 10 or 11 years, and there's plenty of golf courses out here, and you can play all year round.
That's a good pro.
Absolutely.
So why do you think that's a pro?
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are in the Midwest and on the East Coast that can only play during the summer, which can be only June through August sometimes because of the wet weather in the spring and the fall. So out here, you can play 12 months a year, and a lot of times in the Midwest, you're in simulators as well, so it's not as fun.
Ding, 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 weather, another pro. Other than the summer, of course, the weather can be a con in the summer, but would you consider weather a pro?
Weather is a pro. You just have to deal with about early June till mid-September, and then the temperatures start to cool off, but then we see fantastic weather from mid-September all the way through May.
So we have golf year-round, we have good weather most of the year. What's another pro?
I would say the grid systems and the highway systems out here. We have about 3 to 4 major highways, and then we have a grid system for all of your travel. So very easy to get around, and the roads are a lot newer than they are in the Midwest.
You got any other pros for me? Just gotta check the notes.
I would say that there is quite a bit to do here between festivals, concerts, Diamondbacks games, Cardinals games, spring training, farmers markets, all of those types of things. There's quite a bit to do in Phoenix, and you have the weather to go along with it, so it allows you to stay outside and do those things too.
There's also good nightlife. There's always a lot of activities. There's also a lot of family-friendly activities depending on where you live. So a lot
Splash
to do.
pads.
A lot of splash pads in the summer.
Also, the job market's great too. We have a lot of tech companies coming from California into the Phoenix area because of the housing market. And so there is a lot of job opportunities coming from that area into Phoenix right now too.
What else you got for me? Any other pros?
I think that's probably about it. My big one's the golf and the weather. So for all you golfers, I think that's it's probably one that'll get you packing up and coming out here.
Hard to deny on that. All right, let's talk about the cons. What don't you like about living in Phoenix?
Well, 115 to 120 degrees is never fun, no matter if you're out by a pool, under misters, or on a golf course early in the morning. It comes very fast and it gets very hot quickly.
That's true. You don't really get too used to it either. You just kind of deal with it. But it's just a part of the year. The rest of the year is awesome. You'll love it. What else do you have for a con? It's hard to think
There's
of,
not many. Not a lot of green. So you do deal with a lot of rock and desert landscape, which my wife here loves. I personally don't like. And also traffic. There are some expressways here that do have some traffic during rush hour. Nothing compared to a Chicago, New York, California, but something to always keep in mind that our public transportation is just kind of being developed right now, so you will be driving quite a bit, so you will have to handle some traffic.
If I could add, also talking a bit about weather and the green landscape, we don't get that much rain. So if you don't like rain, this is a perfect place. If you're gonna miss the rain, we don't get it that often. So That can be a con too, depending on what you're looking for.
And sometimes when we do get it, it's called a monsoon, and they are not, if you're from the Midwest, you will experience something that you really don't like with that much wind and 2 inches of rain that comes down in 20 minutes.
It can be a pretty big downpour. Also, if you're coming from a city that has a lot of urban areas, like a downtown and things like that, we do have downtown Phoenix, but other than that, we're very suburban. So folks coming from large cities or really love the city life, you don't find that as much here. Any other cons?
Nope, no more.
Okay, short list. So I have a surprise for you. We're gonna do a little fire round. As I was preparing to shoot this video for you all, I Googled just to see what was out there. Pros and cons of living in Phoenix. And what I found was someone writing their feelings on a forum about all of the pros and a lot of cons. So, as a transplant, I'm curious how you feel about these. So I'm gonna true or false what this anonymous individual said.
Start the clock.
So number 1 on the cons list, the people. Rude, flaky, obnoxious, aggressive. It goes on and on with some other descriptive words that weren't so nice. So how do you feel about the people in Phoenix?
I would say that is...
Whoa, wait. True or false?
False.
Let's start there. False. Okay, good. False. And explanation?
The people mostly are nice. You actually don't meet many people from Arizona here. You meet quite a few people from Chicago, Pittsburgh, California, and different places. So you're mostly getting transplants that you're meeting, and so it's actually like meeting people from home.
I think that's true. I think that's kind of what's fun. As a native, I meet people from all over all the time. And if you're coming from somewhere else, I guarantee you'll find friendships in people that are coming from those areas too. Con number 2, according to Mr. Anonymous, characterless. True or false?
False.
False. And let's hear why.
There's quite a bit to do here in Phoenix. There's quite a few, there's great people here, quite a lot of things to do, good sports teams, Grand Canyon, Sedona, Flagstaff, places to go, people to see.
There is character. Maybe compared to other parts of the country, not quite as much, depending on where you're coming from, and culture too. That varies depending on what your expectation is, but I think we have character here. Number 3, disgusting tap water. True or false?
I've never actually had the tap water, so I can't say true or false to that.
It's true. It's true. People say that all the time. But that's okay. We filter our water and it's great. We don't get a lot of rain here. Why would we have good tap water?
Get a Brita.
Yeah. Number 4, subpar job market.
False.
He previously stated that in his pros.
Correct. This blog must have been written 5 to 10 years ago, possibly. Our job market's great here.
Okay. Number 5, con. Boring, lifeless downtown. True or false?
False. The ballparks are still downtown. Diamondbacks, Phoenix Suns, concerts, a variety of bars and restaurants as well. So I will say false there.
To add to that, there's been a lot of up-and-coming areas in the downtown area, not only for housing, but entertainment, and it's been continually going from downtown further north. So there's a lot to do within walking distance there than there ever had been before. Downtown is really rejuvenated, for sure. So this is a little dated. I'll give him that for a few years ago. Him or her, Mr. Anonymous. Okay, the next con. Ubiquitous soliciting and panhandling. True or false?
False.
Okay.
I've probably a few times in my 10 years here have I ever noticed that.
I would agree with that. Of course, you have that, I think, in any city, but we don't have that here beyond, or you might have it other places, and probably less so than a large city.
Correct.
Things like that. Next con, high utility bills.
True.
True.
Sometimes there are high utility bills. The air conditioner has to pretty much run from June to middle of September, possibly into October as well. But the air conditioning company and the electric company does a nice job of letting you balance that over the course of the year. So there are ways to work around it.
Now, in comparison to having snow in Chicago, would you say that the utility bills can be comparative, just summer versus winter, or do you think it really is a lot more out here?
I think it's a lot more out here.
Okay, good clarification. Next con, atrocious school system.
True.
What? Not atrocious, but depending on where you're coming from, the majority of schools aren't ranked as high as they are in other areas of the country. But we have great school districts in some areas. We have great private schools, great charter schools, Montessori schools. There are choices, but in comparison to some areas, especially in the Midwest, I wouldn't use the word atrocious though.
Correct, not atrocious.
And I have a lot of resources to help you identify the right school system so that it doesn't feel like you're having that much of a transition if you're moving here from somewhere else.
Correct.
Okay, and the final con from this anonymous individual: worst, most unsafe and aggressive drivers in the country.
False.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I've only probably driven in 10 states total, if that. And I'm a slow driver, so I can't really say that it is. People drive fast in every city and state.
Now, if you come here from California, you will not think that we're crazy drivers. But if you come here from other areas, perhaps you do. It's hard for me to say. Once again, I've been here my whole life, but I have received that feedback from others that we do have some fast and crazy drivers here. So it all depends on where you're coming from.
Correct.
So that ends the true or false fire round of pros and cons. Good answers. I'm glad we could debunk a few of this anonymous individual's cons. So thank you for being part of my first fireside chat.
Thank you for having me.
And having an interview with me and helping me to share with the viewers the true pros and cons of living in Phoenix from an outsider's perspective. If I can help you find a house in the Phoenix area, I would be more than happy to. So please give me a call, a text, or an email. Again, this is Caitlin McKeague with Berkshire Hathaway. I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching.